Let's talk about the AL Central now. And while it might not be as stiff a competition as in the NL Central, I think there's more parity in the AL Central this year than there has been in a while. We'll start with the Twins, the incumbent division champs. They start with the White Sox, and then they don't see them, Tom, until the last day of August.
Yeah, this is interesting to me. The White Sox are kind of a wild card team, if you will, for me, because, yeah, they had a losing record last year, but I look at them as a contender. So looking at strength of schedule, I see the White Sox as a real handful. I think there's much more balance in both central divisions than there have been in previous years.
No, I agree with you. But as I look at this whole board, I mean, I go back to where we started the show. The strength is in the East. And I would much rather be playing here than in the East for my chances to get to the postseason. Because what you said, Tom, the White Sox become a contender now, instantly. I don't know if we say that if they're in the American League East, playing against the National League East and whatnot. And that changes that whole run for that division.
I think that's fair. You know, Cleveland used to have this division under lock and key until the Twins' resurgence, and they have the starting pitching, a front three that I think could put them right back to the top of the heap again.
I agree. They will live and die with their starting pitching. It's really good. Listen, again, I've said this is a very balanced division, more so in the past. I think Minnesota, give them credit as the team to beat, but Cleveland and Chicago, for me, are both right there.
When I look at the Indians, I come back to this, Tom, and it's a quick discussion, but the Lindor effect. I mean, there is a trade deadline that's going to come up, and they've made it pretty clear they may not be able to sign him and bring him back. That clock is still ticking, regardless. And so the Indians have to get off to a great start. They're going to have a tough decision to make. Do we make a run with Frankie in the short season here of 60 games, or are we going to be able to get something for him for a team that maybe hasn't been in the playoffs a long time, that thinks they got a chance to win a World Series, even though it's a 60-game schedule?
Let's hit the White Sox here because they were so busy in the offseason, so many high-profile free agent signings. They have an opportunity starting on August 7th to make a run. 12 of 21 games from that point are with Kansas City, Detroit, and Pittsburgh, Tom.
Yeah, and I think this is a team you'll see get better as the year goes by. They've made a lot of additions. Encarnacion, Grandal certainly help in the middle of the lineup. So I think, again, veterans added to a younger team. You'll see them improve as the season goes on. And how about that last series, Matt? I'm telling you, the last day of the season this year is set up to be great. Cubs, White Sox last weekend.
And I think the White Sox young pitching, you know, they're at a point now with these guys healthy, Kopech's coming back, and you look at what the other guys, the steps they made, and then you go get Dallas Keuchel to join that staff. This is going to be a pretty good pitching staff.
You know, we didn't put the Royals or Tigers schedules up there, but I think Kansas City probably has become a much more interesting team than they may have been in a 162-game season.
Yeah.
New manager Mike Matheny, a chance with a fast start for Kansas City to say, hey, let's push in and go for this.
Matt, I'm glad you brought that up because there is a team that is going to shock the world. Not necessarily be a postseason team, but it'll be a lot better than you think. When you think about teams playing in empty ballparks, you need self-motivators out there. And a lot of these teams that are so-called younger, lacking experience, it's an opportunity in a short season for them to really show their stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you get an opportunity to play against big leaguers, right? And this is the hunger factor. And we're going to come down to that. There's no doubt in my mind with this schedule and with the virus still floating around. We don't know how things are going to happen. The hunger factor is going to be huge. How do you motivate your players and how the players stay hungry?
And we'll put the cliff notes of the Tiger schedule up as well. Look, this is a free year in Detroit. This is a year to figure out what you've got, size up your system, and try to make yourself better because, as we know, it's been kind of dry in Detroit the past couple of years.
Really good young pitching coming in Detroit. I mean, top shelf pitching. We may see it before this year is out.
But you know what? There's always a team on the schedule, regardless of 162 games or 60, that can mess your season up. You have to beat the teams you're supposed to beat, even more so in this 60-game sprint.